Welcome to Women's Sports Weekly, where women's sports happen every day, but we talk about it once a week. I'm Carolyn.
And I'm Danielle. Women's Sports Weekly is a podcast where we discuss the latest news, explore interesting stories, and share our love for women's sports. Follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at WomensSportsWeeklyPod. Follow us and rate us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Send us an email at WomensSportsWeeklyPod@gmail.com, and we may feature your email on our Listeners Experience Zone, the Les.
We have Run Club this week, as we do every week on Thursdays at 6 o'clock p.m. at the 99er Sports Bar here in Denver. If you come to Run Club and you say your secret word to the bartenders, you can receive 50% off your first draft of the night. So the secret word this week is, Danielle, you got to give it to them.
Mercury.
It is the Mercury, because they are going to the WNBA Finals, and we will get into that.
Crazy. We both thought the Lynx were going to go in game 4. Instead, the Phoenix won in 4 games. So like Carolyn said, we'll get more into that in a little bit, but we hope to see you at Run Club this week.
It is fall here in Denver, which means it's leaf peeping time.
It sure is. It is my favorite time of year. I absolutely love the fall. I love the change of seasons in terms of weather. It's starting to cool down here in Denver finally. We went on a beautiful hike over the weekend to see the aspens here in Colorado. The aspens turn bright yellow before all the leaves fall off, and they're just so pretty.
Yeah, I've said it on this podcast before. Anytime I go into nature, I'm just instantly in a better mood. And it was amazing. And we were with friends, and then we went to a brewery after. It was like a perfect Colorado day.
It really was. Also this weekend, we did get into more demo work with our basement.
Demo D is here. That's her name.
Slowly chipping away. This is going to be a lot of work, and I don't know if I'm ready for it, but slowly getting through it.
This is too much work. I will add that. And I will just add, it's just going to take a while.
Yeah, just expect us to talk more about our basement demo work. We are trying to finish it to the best of our ability, and in the meantime, we have a lot of crap we need to get down there. I was taking a wall apart today, and there was coal. Coal. Actual, not coal, maybe charcoal. It looked like coal.
Yeah.
Charcoal. Oh, coal. Yeah, I guess that is coal. And signs from the 1940s from a church, because we live next to an old church. Members from the church used to live in the house we live in, right?
From the records, it looked like the church owned our house at some point. So they must have, I don't know, thought that their church signs were good insulation. And so I also looked up that charcoal was used as insulation because it'll absorb moisture and it'll diffuse any smell that could be there. So we opened up a wall and there was just charcoal everywhere. What I really wanted was cash in the walls. That's what I was hoping for. But
not old church posters and charcoal that we had to clean up. So that was fun.
I guess they were a morally okay church then. It's not a church anymore. So
yeah. But anyways, more to come on that, I'm sure. But we have a lot to talk about with WNBA and rugby and all the fun things. So should we dive right in?
Let's do it. England wins the Women's Rugby World Cup final. Coming into this match, England is called the Red Roses. They were number 1 in the world, and they were unbeaten in 32 matches on quite a streak. They were playing Canada, and I think this is interesting to talk about because England is the best funded team in the world, and then Canada is probably one of the least funded teams in the world. So in England, they have 32 players on full-time contracts, meaning they're getting paid for their job to play rugby. In contrast, Canada, which is number 2 in the world, they're not fully professional. And Rugby Canada said that if the women's players did everything this calendar year, they could expect to earn 12,000 Canadian dollars. So that is not a lot. And it's not that Rugby Canada invests in their men's, but rugby just isn't very large.
Gotcha.
For this Women's Rugby World Cup final, Rugby Canada provided money, World Rugby provided money to Canada, and then Canada raised over $700,000 US in a fundraising drive in order to get to a point where they could be in the finals and win. And unfortunately, they did not win in the finals.
So in order to get to the finals, they had to raise all this money on their own.
Yes.
And on top of it, they're barely getting paid.
Yeah, they're barely getting paid. And the conversation that happened was with the Canadian rugby head coach. And he said, this is how much money we need to win. And it was something like $3 million. And so could they have gotten there without all of this money? Probably. But he was like, this is what we need in order to win, to get to the finals. So they got some money from Rugby Canada, some from World Rugby, then raised over $700,000, got themselves there, and played amazing this entire tournament. They ended up losing to England 33-13. England becomes world champions for the third time. And my favorite stat is that they did this in front of a crowd of over 80,000 people, which was a world record crowd for this matchup.
Yeah, almost 82,000 people. That is amazing. It's hard to believe that they're playing in front of that many people and had to fundraise so much money on their own.
Yeah, and could you imagine how great Canada would be if they were well funded? Everyone on their team is like working other jobs.
Right.
And then you can see what happens in England when you start to put money behind it. You get to the finals, you win the finals, and it's like, yeah, Canada is doing so much with less, but think of what they could be doing with more.
Yeah.
And people are watching, right? 80,000 people at a final match. That's huge. And that shows that there is definitely a market for people to make money in.
Yeah, definitely. Wow. Well, congrats to England again. And that's it for rugby for a while.
So that means England won the Euros and now they've won the Rugby World Cup final. You got to feel pretty good if you're England right now.
I agree. Good for them. All right, let's move on to college volleyball. It's hard to believe by the time this episode releases, it's going to be October, which is insane. School's been in session for over a month now. And that means sports have been well underway.
Oh, yeah.
And volleyball being one of those sports. And they're actually just getting into conference play. But I wanted to highlight some of the attendance happening because a lot of people are attending these college volleyball games. We've talked about in the past Nebraska. Nebraska always draws a huge crowd for their women's volleyball team. And behind them in recent years, the Wisconsin Badgers also draws a big crowd. Both these teams are actually neck and neck this year for the largest attendance across the board. They're leading the way, and Wisconsin is averaging 8,620 fans per game this season to start the year off. And Nebraska is right behind them, averaging 8,602. So it's a very, very close battle. But Wisconsin, if they can hold and maintain their current attendance average throughout the season and stay above Nebraska, they'll break a 6-season streak of second place attendance. It's just funny, like this is a stat that's been tracked. So the past 6 seasons, Nebraska's been in the number 1 spot for attendance and Wisconsin's been right there. And recently, Wisconsin is above them in attendance and attracting more fans.
Got it. What do you think they're giving out at Wisconsin to try to get people to get them to go?
Hopefully cheese curds.
Ooh.
That's what I would want.
And like, honestly, you don't need to give out much because the competition is just so good, right? But if I wanted to beat Nebraska, I'd be giving away some stuff.
Yeah, because Nebraska are the Cornhuskers. Like, what are they bringing out? Husks of corn?
I'm sorry, but elote, I could bathe in elote. So if they've got that over in Nebraska, I'm there. I'll be at every game.
We'll see. But the Wisconsin deputy athletic director was quoted this past week saying that they're on track to exceed $2 million in volleyball ticket sales for the first time ever. So I really hope they do that because I just think that's a really cool stat. And as I said earlier, conference play kicked off this past weekend. You and I will dive into volleyball in coming weeks. We've just been so heads down in WNBA. But if you haven't already started watching college volleyball, now is a great time. And check out Nebraska and Wisconsin.
And the crowd makes such a difference. Anytime there's a huge crowd, it's just easier to get into the game even when you're watching on TV.
Yes.
I also just think it's amazing that this women's sports movement just continues to grow and continues to grow, and it's every single sport. It's not just women's basketball, it's not just one particular player, it's like every single avenue of women's sports is continuing to grow.
To stay with that sentiment, I want to talk about the PWHL, who has not started their 3rd season yet, but they're going to be starting soon. And they're really excited about this season because they anticipate higher attendance across all markets. They reported surging season ticket sales for every team this year so far. So they have 2 expansion teams starting in 2025 and 2026, Seattle and Vancouver. And both those teams are actually leading the way in ticket sales, which is really fun because how many times have we talked about the Golden State Valkyries this year and how their fan base was so great. So if the PWHL new expansion teams can follow suit, it's going to be a really fun year for both of those teams. And as of last week, the teams actually reported more than 5,000 season ticket deposits for this upcoming season. And if it's not already on your radar, the 2026 Winter Olympics are also coming up, and the league is excited for that because they believe the Olympics will naturally get more eyes on women's hockey, and then people will get fired up from watching that, and then hopefully bring more eyes to the PWHL. I'm looking forward to see how all that translates as well.
Thank God for another Olympics.
I know. I'm excited. I keep forgetting it's happening this year, and I'm like, ooh, that's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, not this year. 2026 it'll happen. We're in 2025.
Okay. But it feels like this year. I'm on like school years still. I don't know.
I know. You're on like your company fiscal year.
But yeah, a lot of fun things to look forward to.
Before we get into our deep dive this week, we will ask you to please rate and subscribe to our podcast. We love putting this podcast together and we want to continue to do it. We create, produce, and edit the podcast ourselves. So if you want to support us, rate, subscribe, give us a positive review, and share the podcast with people you love who would enjoy it as well. Thank you to everyone who has rated the podcast so far. If you send us a screenshot of your 5-star rating, we will send you a Women's Sports Weekly sticker in the mail. All right, Dee, let's get into it. WNBA playoffs. We're going to talk about games 3 and games 4. We right now don't know who won last night. So this is really something. But let's get into game 3 of the Las Vegas Aces and the Indiana Fever. In game 3, the Aces won 84-72 to go up 2-1.
Going into this game, I didn't really know what to expect because they were 1-1 going into game 3. The Fever have been so unpredictable this year because they've just been playing so well with so many players on the bench. But the Aces did win this game, and Jackie Young has been playing so well during the playoffs. This game especially, she scored 25 points. The exciting thing about her being at Indiana playing on their home court is she is from Indiana, not terribly far from Gainbridge Arena. I think they said it was like 150 miles. So in her home state, playing well. Another key player was Nalissa Smith, who added 16 points, and she was on the Indiana Fever last year. So it has to feel good when she's playing well against them for the Aces. And I know Asia Wilson as the MVP looks to these two players as well. And when these two players play that well, it just complements the whole team, and it's huge for them.
Yeah. And that's exactly what happened because Asia opened up the game with a 3-pointer and then she just went scoreless on her next 11 shots. So it's pretty amazing that you can still continue to win without your best player doing the most. Asia Wilson ended up scoring 13 points total, but she only shot 6 of 20. So it is nice when you can rely on your other players to pull you through on that win. And then for Indiana, Kelsey Mitchell led the team with 21 points, and Lexi Hull finished with 16 points and 10 rebounds.
I feel like Kelsey Mitchell and Lexi Hull have both been so key in this playoffs. Lexi Hull, you always hear her name because she's on the ground diving for a ball or just getting her hands on a ball or putting her face in something. I feel like her shot has been a little off, but has been hitting some threes in key spots. And then Kelsey Mitchell just can do whatever the heck she wants. Like, she is averaging over 20 points a game, and some of the moves she makes and some of the shots she takes, I'm just like, how did that just go in?
She's so fast.
So fast and just
smart.
Yeah. She just knows what to do when she gets the ball and just does it.
Yeah.
She doesn't need to think much. She's just playing and she does it so well.
Yeah. Either that or she just makes thinking look so easy. Like it just is like so part of her. She's like, yeah, this is what I do. So then let's get into game 4 of this Aces and Fever. Indiana actually ends up winning this game 90-83 and forces a game 5 with the series tied at 2-2. That game was played last night. We don't know what happened. We'll make a guess at the end of this. But in this game 4, A'ja Wilson finished with 31 points and 9 rebounds. So she played great, but was not enough to get the win. Jackie Young continues to play great, added 18 points. But for the Fever, Aaliyah Boston finished with 24 points, 14 rebounds, and 5 assists.
Yeah, this was probably Aaliyah Boston's best playoff game ever.
Yeah.
She played so well, just had her head down and was working, and she was making good moves back to the basket. And if she played like that again last night, it's going to be tough for the Aces.
I love seeing this matchup of two former Gamecocks who've gone to South Carolina, Aaliyah Boston and A'ja Wilson, just going at each other.
Yeah, it's been physical. This whole series has been physical.
Yes. Kelsey Mitchell finished with 23 points, and Odyssey Sims for the Indiana Fever added 18 points in this game. Kelsey Mitchell, like you mentioned, is averaging over 20 points per game in the playoffs. In the postseason, she has 23 points per game so far, and that's up from her regular season of 20 points per game, which is still very good.
Yeah, just playing unconscious. Really fun to watch her play.
Okay, let's make a prediction about the past now. Who's going to the finals?
We already have our predictions. So you said you think Indiana's gonna win it. I'm still holding out hope for the Aces.
Yeah, I said Indiana in 4, so I'm a little wrong, but I'm gonna stick with Indiana.
Yeah, we'll see what our future selves are thinking right now.
I know. All right, let's get into game 3 of the Minnesota Lynx versus the Phoenix Mercury. The Mercury win this game 84-76 to go up 2-1.
This has to be one of the most physical WNBA games I've seen. And I think the Fever and Aces games have been very physical too. Like I think playoffs across the board, but Minnesota Lynx and Phoenix Mercury have been going at each other, and I felt like this game got a little chippy, and even the coaches, well,
we'll get into
I think Cheryl Reeve mostly was getting really upset, but I don't know. I felt like the refs were letting them get away with certain things, and then they would give a stupid technical, like when Ka Copper was just yelling, I don't even know, let's go, in Courtney Williams' face after those two were chirping to each other. So I feel like the refs choose weird moments to blow their whistle, and they let other things get away. But let's talk about this a little more.
So for the Mercury, Satu Sabally went off, scored 23 points. She scored 15 in the fourth quarter. She just can do amazing things, and that's why they call her the unicorn. She drains a 3. She goes to the basket. And yeah, it's really amazing when Satu is on.
Yeah, and I think she's been more intentional the past couple of games about getting her shot off and knowing that her scoring is key to this team. She's 6'4", a 6'4" guard. Like, how do you stop that when she's bombing threes and just draining them?
I know, it's so demoralizing. On top of that, Alyssa Thomas and Kalia Copper both scored 21 points. It was an incredibly tight game. As we mentioned, there were 15 lead changes. Before we get into the drama that happened, let's talk about Minnesota. Minnesota was led by Natisha Heidemann, who came off the bench with 19 points. And Napheesa Collier added 17 points and was 8 of 15 for shooting. Napheesa Collier ends up leaving this game with an injury, which did not look good. I couldn't watch the replay. She collided with Alyssa Thomas and her ankle, I don't know, you say what happened.
I did watch the replay because at first I was like, I didn't think anything of it. The way she rolled, I didn't realize, but she did twist her ankle pretty bad. Now, this was the moment where Cheryl Reeve absolutely lost her mind. I do not think it was a dirty play at all by Alyssa Thomas. I think this goes back to what I was just talking about, though. It's been so physical and the refs were letting both teams get away with other things that when Cheryl saw Napheesa on the floor hurt, I don't even know if she saw what actually happened, but she just blew up. And again, Alyssa Thomas, it was a basketball play. She had the steal. She clipped Napheesa's leg. So by no means did I think it was a dirty play. I think Cheryl Reeve had just seen enough at that point and just lost it.
Yeah, and Alyssa Thomas is incredibly strong. Yes. She does whatever she wants on the floor because she's so strong and powerful. And I get this way sometimes when I get scared. I get very angry. Yep. And I think, I'm going to project onto Cheryl, I think what happened is she got so afraid for Napheesa that she just really lost it. She already had a technical from earlier in the game. She gets a technical again, which means she gets ejected from the game. She had to be held back by multiple people.
multiple assistant coaches. Natisha Heidemann was trying to hold her back. Dejanay Carrington was holding up a towel to block everything Cheryl was saying. She got ejected from the game. Yeah. And then in the post-game conference, continued to drop F-bombs, talking about the refs. So nothing was stopping her that night.
No, and she must have known that she was getting suspended, and she was like, I'm going to let it rip in this press conference.
Oh, she let it rip all right. I was stunned. I was stunned because I never seen anyone blow up like that before live. And then I'm on Instagram, I'm seeing clips of the post game, and I look at you, I was like, did she just drop the F-bomb? And you're like, yup. Like, I literally could not believe my ears.
So after all of those theatrics, Cheryl Reeve was suspended for game 4, which I don't know. After that game 3, I was like, oh God, the Minnesota Lynx are going to throw this away. And again, another team who I was like, this is a team who should be winning the entire championship. And they're just not, because we'll get into game 4, but they're not going on.
Yeah.
So she was suspended for game 4. Napheesa Collier was out for game 4. Do I think she would have been able to make a game 5? Probably not. No. She was all booted up on a scooter. So just really, really unfortunate for the Lynx. But we get into this game 4 and the Lynx blow another lead.
Unfortunately for the Lynx, this is the first team in playoff history to get knocked out of playoffs after losing 2 games, being up by 14 plus points.
I know.
They started this game out so hot.
Yeah.
As you said, Napheesa was on the bench, but Jessica Shepard started in her place. Jessica Shepard, former Notre Dame player, love her. And she played really well. She came out hot. And honestly, the whole Minnesota Lynx team, I thought, came out hot. But obviously, it just wasn't enough for them, unfortunately.
The Phoenix Mercury were just too much. Satu Sabali had 18 points the first half alone. And then Alyssa Thomas is just on a mission. And she is so strong. And she is taking over control and really just pushed them into this win. The Mercury outscored the Lynx in the fourth quarter 31-13 with the help from Dewana Bonner hitting 3 huge threes in the second half. Mercury fans were going nuts. It was just craziness.
That gym looked electric. That is a game I would want to be at live. You could just tell from TV when the energy in the arena is insane. I just wish I was there.
Alyssa Thomas finished the game with 23 points. Satu Sabali was right behind her with 21 points. And I think we have to ask the question now, with Phoenix going to the finals for the first time since 2021, do we owe Phoenix an apology?
Why would I owe Phoenix an apology?
Danielle, we have not given them any credit this whole year. We've been talking about every other team. They're probably the team that we talked about the least. And they come and they hand it to the Minnesota Lynx, and they're going on into the finals.
Maybe it's better for them. They had less pressure because less media was talking about them. I don't know if that's true across the board, and I doubt they're listening to us. But sometimes teams who aren't getting the attention are the ones who end up prevailing because they're like, screw you. And I feel like they have that energy, like, F everyone else right now. We're going to win this thing. And that's the energy they're bringing into every game.
So you're not going to give them an apology?
No.
This is very much a theme of Danielle's life. No apologies. Okay. Just go and win.
Anywho.
Oh my gosh.
So, yeah, as you said, the Mercury are moving on to the finals for the first time since 2021. It's going to be an exciting matchup. We still don't know who won last night, but it's going to be the determining factor of who they are up against. So we'll definitely talk more about that next week and our predictions there once we know those matchups. But we do have to talk about Minnesota Lynx a little more, even though they're out. And we do have to talk about Napheesa Collier, even though she's injured and done, because the internet went nuts yesterday. Instagram and I think X, I'm not on X, but people were sending us things from X. We just have to get into all the comments she made about the commissioner, Cathy.
Yesterday, Napheesa Collier did an exit press conference and she called out league leadership very explicitly. She said that she had a conversation with Commissioner Cathy Engelbert in February. So she's had this information for quite a while. And I just want to quote Napheesa Collier here, just so that we're crystal clear on what was said. So Napheesa Collier said, at Unrivaled this past February, I sat across from Cathy and asked how she planned to address the officiating issues in our league. Her response was, well, only losers complain about the refs. I also asked how she planned to fix the fact that players like Caitlin, Angel, and Paige, who are clearly driving massive revenue for the league, are making so little for their first 4 years. Her response was, Caitlin should be grateful she makes $16 million off the court because without the platform the WNBA gives her, she wouldn't make anything. In that same conversation, she told me players should be on their knees thanking their lucky stars for the media rights deal that I got them. Napheesa Collier goes on to say, that's the mentality driving our league from the top. The league believes it succeeds despite its players, not because of them. End quote.
Yeah, I watched this and my chin hit the floor because I'm like, how the heck did Cathy say that? Especially to Napheesa, who has a platform. Napheesa, good on her for waiting for the right time to use it. And especially it's so timely right now with how the refs have been at the end of the season, the whole season, especially playoffs, and all the coaches just have been getting fined. And Napheesa made a comment, she'll probably get fined for this, but it's out there now. I mean, Cathy is going to have to respond to this, and I'm really curious to see what that response is.
Well, she did respond. So she responded yesterday and said that she was disheartened with how Napheesa characterized the conversation, but this is really bad. You cannot say that about your players. You are in a leadership role. I'm amazed that conversation happened. I fully believe Napheesa Collier. She is one of the most stand-up players. I do not think that it was a mischaracterization. I do think that conversation happened, but you should just be happy with the pennies you get is just absurd to me. And especially as a woman, the commissioner should be the one at the forefront saying, I'm going to fight for you to get better than I ever had, than I ever imagined, because that's what's right and that's what you all deserve. And we're going to make money in the process, which that's what you have to weigh, right? Like, how do we continue to make money and give these players exactly what they deserve, because it's so important. It blows my mind.
And to your point about believing Napheesa, same. And you could just tell this was very well thought out. She took her time. She was so nervous having this conversation. Like, she's just not out there on some random interview dropping these things. This was something that was very well thought out. She talked about how her husband runs Unrivaled and how he runs the league. So she said it. If I didn't know how this was done, I might not be saying these things, but I do. I've seen the behind the scenes work and I've seen how you should act. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, that's just not what's happening behind the scenes in the WNBA, and there needs to be a change.
Napheesa went on to say that she thought it was tone deaf and dismissive, especially when it comes to the refs, physicality, and players' injuries. I totally agree. Do you think Cathy makes it through this?
I guess it depends who has her back, because the players don't right now. But what other leadership are they going to back her right now? Is something protecting her? Or is she just going to double down on this? I don't know.
And she's made mistakes before, and mistakes that drive me crazy. Mispronouncing Natalie Nakase's name, not sending text messages to players. Elena Deladon was on Instagram yesterday saying that she never got a message from Cathy when she retired. And no, you don't have to do the little things, but I do love that the WNBA has a higher accountability. And these are humans at the end of the day, and they're humans who make you money. Mm-hmm. And I just think there's some common courtesies, and there are more, but I'm just I think she's done. I think this is it. I don't see how you come back from this speaking about the players like that. What are you doing?
I guess we'll see. I'm sure more is going to come out in days to come in the following week. So we'll have to report back next week on what comes of this.
Yeah. Okay. What are you looking forward to this week?
I'm going to stay on the WNBA train because finals are almost here. This Friday, October 3rd at 8 p.m. Eastern will be the first finals game. As a reminder, this is the first time the finals will be best of 7. And with how the rest of the series has gone, a lot of these games have been going to the final game. So maybe we'll get a game 7. I'm excited.
It's going to be very interesting now with this all swirling around. We already had it interesting with the CBA, and I hope the players just continue to represent themselves as well as they've been doing, because that's what's most important at the end of this.
Yes. What are you looking forward to?
In the NWSL, second-ranked Washington Spirit take on the San Diego Wave on Sunday, October 5th at 1 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. The Washington Spirit actually clinched a playoff spot with their win over the Houston Dash this past weekend. They're only the second team to do that. The other team is the Shield winners, the KC Current. But the Washington Spirit are on a 10-game unbeaten streak, so a game you will definitely want to check out. That's it for this week. We will see you next week on Women's Sports Weekly. In the meantime, watch women's sports and share the podcast with your friends. Rate and subscribe to the pod on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. Thanks for joining us.